I'm Shaun Buchan of Cerebral Brewing, and this is the Brewer to Brewer podcast from All About Beer. My guest is Shaun of Ruse Brewing, and he is here for a conversation that goes beyond the brew house and into the topics that matter to brewing professionals and curious beer drinkers. First, please visit allaboutbeer.com and follow on social media at All About Beer. And to support journalism in the beer space, check out allaboutbeer.com/support. We'll get into the conversation in a minute, but first, this message.
Today's episode is brought to you by StompStickers.com, trusted by thousands of breweries across the country. They've been printing for over 30 years, and they know beer branding inside and out. Whether you need beer labels, keg collars, coasters, beer boxes, or more, they've got the expertise you need, all backed by a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Try your first run with StompStickers.com and get 15% off with code TRY15. That's TRY15 by visiting StompStickers.com. This German flavor break is brought to you by Weyermann Specialty Malts, crafted in Bamberg, Germany, and trusted by brewers worldwide for depth, color, and flavor. With a portfolio of over 90 malts, Weyermann provides the tools to build anything from crisp pilsners with Pilsner Malt to rich Märzens layered with Munich and Vienna. Even complex dark beers using Caramunich and Special W. Whether you're refining a classic European style or pushing modern recipes, order Weyermann from RahrBSG. As an industry-leading keg management partner, Keg Logistics delivers premium stainless steel kegs with the flexibility you truly need. Whether you're kegging your first batch or scaling your distribution, choose the program that fits. Rent to own, flexible term leasing, or pay per fill. Get top quality kegs without massive upfront costs and terms that grow with you. Thousands of brewers, cider makers, and wineries trust Keg Logistics to keep production flowing. Head to keglogistics.com/allaboutbeer for your custom quote. Keg Logistics, your kegs, your choice. You're paying too much to process your invoices. Look, it's not your fault. It's just because you're not using PaySmart yet. Most breweries are stuck with platforms designed for general small businesses, not the craft industry. That's why PaySmart was built. It's the new payment solution that is fully integrated into leading brewery software like Ecos and Ollie. That means less time chasing payments, fewer workarounds, and more money saved. Want to see how much you can save? Head over to save.withpaysmart.com to learn more and to claim an incredible launch offer. That's save.withpaysmart.com.
Welcome, and I'm very pleased to have Shaun as my guest today. A Detroit, Michigan native, Shaun moved to Portland, Oregon in 2006 and became a professional brewer that same year. He worked at a few breweries over the last 20 years and also was a student at the American Brewers Guild. He and business partner Devin opened Ruse Brewing in 2018. The company now has 3 locations that serve Ruse beer and pizza in the greater Portland area that also includes Vancouver, Washington. Thank you for joining me on this Shaun to Shaun podcast today.
Thanks, Shaun. Yeah, the Shauns are together.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest reason, I had to think who I really wanted to talk to here, and honestly, you came up a few times in my mind because not only have I known you a while, but your beer is pretty stellar every time I have it, honestly. And we come out, you're one of our stops. We try to hit every hop selection trip. I wish we got out more. But the other reason is you're just so well intentioned. It seems like in everything you do. One of the things we'll maybe get to later is the food program. But first, maybe if you want to just walk us through a little bit, I met you when you were brewing at Culmination, and I had a Ruse beer. I do not remember exactly what it was. I believe it was a mixed culture saison or something in that vein. And now your program is very different.
Yeah, I would say quite a bit, 360 almost. Ruse started as a alternating proprietorship out of that brewery, Culmination. Devin, my business partner, and I actually met at that brewery as brewers. And eventually partnered up and started Ruse out of there. And then on the side, we were brewing our beers while we were still working for them. But we started almost, I would say, 95% mixed culture. So that was kind of our focus. He's from Vermont, so he grew up with, Hill Farmstead and some other breweries that were around the time when he was getting going as a brewer. And I grew up with Jolly Pumpkin and stuff in Michigan. So just that love for Brett Ford farmhouse ales and saisons was definitely a must to do right out of the gates. So, and then of course here in Portland we had one of my favorite breweries, Upright, that was doing some awesome stuff too. So yeah, I think when you came out in 2015, it was pretty much all barrels for us. And Culmination was doing quite a bit of mixed culture stuff too as well.
Yeah,
So
it's just cool to see how far you've come from, one to two taps. Maybe you had more at some point
yeah,
on tap there, and then now you've grown to three locations, and your beer is like much more widely recognized, and I see it being talked about more.
oh man,
So yeah, it's cool to see. And I think you killed the saisons when I was out there then, but I think the market obviously shifts on stuff like that.
yep. So
I mean, one of our early collabs was a mixed culture Brett saison
yeah,
that those Brett strains that you
Candy.
guys developed, yeah, are still in the fooder we have. So there's remnants of that around to this day.
Yeah, man, I kind of miss making those beers for sure. It was kind of a labor of love for sure. The first couple of years we got this facility open in 2018, it was becoming really hard because there's only three of us. We kind of got in over our heads with how many barrels we had filled. I think we had like 90 at our peak time, for three people,
Yeah,
plus doing all the other production stuff like IPAs, pale ales, and lagers, and man, we were missing the mark and on stuff, and things were getting oxidized or missing like the kind of the peak sweet spot of where those beers and barrels were. So yeah, and honestly, we started seeing consumer palates here in Portland kind of trend a different way, and it was getting harder to sell them, and even if
yeah,
they're awesome beers that we loved, so we kind of slowly weeded those out and kind of changed our focus. And I think that's a great thing. I'm sure you could say too, is just being like a small brewery is pretty cool to be able to pivot real easy.
yeah.
And uh and I think that's been an awesome thing for brewers, especially being able to pivot during times and kind of do a 180 or 360 of direction for the
Yeah.
company. So
You mentioned Upright and Jolly Pumpkin is like some early inspirations in that phase. Like, do you have brewers or beers now that have shaped like your worldview on beer? Like, what's defining what you do in your current phase?
absolutely. I mean, peers, like
Yeah,
or any of our peers locally, like we hanging out with friends and making beer with them, and you're like, damn, these guys are so good. Like, all right, I just love that about our community is just that kind of collaboration of learning from each other and a million ways to skin a cat type thing. It's like, wow, I never really thought of it in that kind of sense, and it improves something somewhere for our team and stuff. So yeah, definitely locally, I love like Sun River out of Sun River, Oregon. I think they're making some of the cleanest, most awesome beer around. Breakside, who's local too as well. So a lot of those guys, Living House for loggers and stuff like that too. And so a lot of like our friends that we meet along the way and hang out day to day too. Like we're just constantly learning from. So or
yeah,
going down to like California for festivals and stuff and trying like Ghost Towns beers and some other people down there, Virgin and stuff like that. Just really
yeah.
getting inspired by what they're doing with, low ABV pale ales and stuff. So sorry about that. Yeah. But
Yeah,
um,
within, one of the things that I think it also just is where my palate's at right now, but like what I want right now is mostly West Coast IPA and lager. So when I
yep.
come out, like
Same.
I remember vividly I think it was called Nectar Extracto. Is that
Yep. Yep.
the
Yep.
Mosaic Nectaron beer you did?
Yep. Yep. So
Um, I mean, you sent me some like back to the hotel with a 4 pack of that, and it was like so difficult not to just consume the whole thing. What do you think, what defines your approach to West Coast IPA at Ruse compared to some of the ones you mentioned, like Ghost Town is going to be very
sure.
different. And, I'm sure Sun River is going to present very different from yours.
Yeah, I mean, originally, we were doing a lot of hazies out of kind of COVID times, but I think our palates were leaning drier as brewers. And so we're trying to, make West Coast IPAs and stuff, but they were kind of flabby for a while, I feel like. And then and maybe it was like 2 or 3 years ago, we started like really paying attention to bitterness a lot. And like the salt profile of the beers too. and then just overall pH too. So I feel like once we started really kind of over analyzing those aspects of the beer, we see a lot of improvements with drinkability and kind of getting that like lager like body.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, compared to some of those peers and stuff, I don't know, like everyone's just got their almost like house character or something. So
Mhm.
I can't really pinpoint what the difference is because when you talk to them, like everyone's kind of like using the same grain bill similarly, you know. It might be like a little variance or not, but I feel like we're kind of like hovering that like I don't know, two Plato finishing range, a little lower maybe, like 1.5 to 2 Plato, not much lower. And I know some of our friends down in California go push the envelope a little further. So I feel like that's a good sweet spot for us. And then yeah, finishing pH for us is like around 4.5 to 4.6, and we've been liking that range too. So I know some people
Nice.
go lower than that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
what's your like you mentioned bitterness, like what's your approach to bitterness in West Coast IPA? Are you doing multiple hop additions, multiple
yeah.
hop products?
Yep. So we're usually typically do like a mix of like flex oil at the beginning of boil with some T90 contribution too to get some of that polyphenol kind of leafiness in there. Doesn't
Mhm.
taste like one dimensional and stuff. And then yeah, we'll do definitely layered bitterness, mostly layered like in the mid boil to kind of get that mid palate kind of bitterness, and then the rest of it's all just late addition. So like basically the last 10 minutes on. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would say that like uh 30 a 90 to 30 minute edition, there's only like two or three we got in there, but we're doing some pretty heavy, you know heavy for us, but like 35 to 40 IBU contribution,
Yeah.
hypothetical. We don't test
Yeah.
it, so we're kind of in what
Same.
we've calculated. So how about
And
you?
then yeah, I mean we're about the same. Like we been kind of changing up our approach on West Coast over the past few years. I feel like we've got it in a spot in the past year where we feel really good about it.
Yeah,
Same thing. We started as a hazy brewer, and it's like we really wanted to figure out West Coast IPA, but intentionally and make it our own instead of just saying like let's make it like somebody else.
totally.
So I
Yeah,
do think we lean a little bit lower, maybe in the more San Diego style IPA.
yeah,
We're a little bit lower in bitterness and compared to some of the other examples out there, but we also lean on whether it's like a CO2 extract. We don't use flex, but similar enough,
yeah,
like a
yeah.
CO2 single origin
For bittering, or
extract. Yeah,
cool, nice.
yeah. So like we picked that up from our friends at Westbound, and we've also done it like the with Ghost Town, where it's like a Simcoe or you know Chinook
Yep,
CO2 extract that
yep,
we're using. And then, yeah, few boil additions doing. We also do a little bit with hop products too, like
cool.
whether it's I think hop dipping is the term now
Yeah, yeah,
for the Kelsey method, but using a lot more Dynaboost now than we used
totally.
to.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it's similar. We've kind of been putting the CO2 extract. We pretty much have it in all their West Coast IPAs. And we've been putting that around like the 10-minute edition and really seeing good results because we get some flavor from it and kind of
mhm,
get that kind of resinous character that really, I think, drives like an interesting kind of palate for people, like that almost tastes like a resinously sticky hop. Um,
mhm.
and then, yeah, same. We've been doing definitely Dynaboost at knocking out in the fermenter on, and then Hyper Boost too as well. Um, and great results too, with that
Yeah.
stuff. But adding that body back to those beers with the Dynaboost, I feel like you have to increase the bitterness on the front end. So
Yeah, it's like such a saturated mouthfeel that you can achieve with like
yeah,
CO2 extracts, Dynaboost, and then T90s and cryo, and more than ever now with all these tools that we have access to, like you have a lot of variables to play with. It's fun, but also intimidating every time.
for sure. Um, yeah, and then yeah, we pretty keep it pretty lean for the grain and stuff too. Gambrinus is kind of our house Pilsner malt that we use in pretty much everything, and then
Cool.
we'll kind of teeter into like the uh the new to the pills, whatever that was, that to the, yeah. And then
Yeah, we just started using that
yeah,
too.
we got that in a couple extra pails, and then pure Idaho too as well. We use quite a bit. So, but yeah, mostly Gambrinus and just maybe like a bag of wheat, flaked wheat, white wheat, rice we use too, just like a small little sprinkle of adjuncts in there. But yeah, pretty simple, man.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah.
And then what's your approach to yeast on West Coast IPA? You doing the USO5 method, the 3470 method, some derivatives?
Uh, we do the Imperial flagship.
Okay.
So, and then for some of the other hoppy beers, we've definitely played around with like Ondex and stuff like that, which I think great yeast strain for hoppy beers, especially West Coast Pilsners.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, but mostly just Imperial flagship. We just basically run Imperial flagship and juice like all the time. And yeah, I mean, going back to what you're saying too about being like a hazy brewery, that's kind of transitioned into being a West Coast focused brewery, but like, we've kind of got so focused on West Coast, we started forgetting about the hazies. So now we're back to like we work in hazies again. And that's been kind of
Yeah.
fun too, and modernizing them, a little bit more. And
I can
it's been
I
quite
can
of a
relate to that.
challenge, man. It's like
Yeah.
holy cow, this is like before it was like you had it so down, like the process that it was like pretty easy to do because you've done so many. And now we're like, all right, we gotta figure out some things. So same thing, we're applying like some things we've learned with West Coast IPA, maybe add some bitterness to these things, and drying them out a little bit more. Drop in the hop temps to avoid burn and stuff like that, dry hop temps. And finding that sweet spot where it doesn't get grassy or melony. So how you
I
guys?
love that. We're doing the
Yeah,
same thing where
I
I
know.
feel like it's that hyper fixated approach. I don't know how it's kind of how my brain works, is like really focus
Yeah,
intently on one thing for a while. And yeah, we were so focused on hazy in terms of IPA for a very long time. And that really did help inform a lot that we do with West Coast now, which
for sure.
we've learned a lot that can be applied. But now, yeah, like just like you said, bringing things back from West Coast to hazy, and also like uh, just I don't know. You take a few months off from like I haven't just drank our hazies in a while. I was drinking our
Mhm.
West Coast, drinking our lagers. Then you drink them again. And you're like, oh, this is great, but like I have some new ideas for this, like things I want to play with that we hadn't played with before. So that yeah, it is a lot of fun. There's
Yeah,
always something
it's
to work on.
totally, and like Cody, one of our brewers here, he loves like bitter beer. So for a while, I was like, it's too bitter, but he's got me into like he convinced me, like I see what he's talking about, like, and I think I would say we probably lean on the more bitter side of breweries in Portland, maybe, not compared to like California or something. We'll send beer down to California to a friend. They're like, whoa, this thing's so soft. But like I feel like we're more bitter up in this neck of the woods. But yeah, for a while,
Yeah,
Cody was like, it needs more bitterness. I was like, it's too bitter, no more bitterness, no. And then we kept going up and up. And I'm like, now I'm on the train too. I'm like, I love it. I need some more bitterness.
yeah, yeah. I think we're kind of going through that same arc at the same time.
Next thing you know, it's going to be the 100 IBU wars again. No,
Oh God. Yeah, we don't need to go back to there's certain things we don't need to redo. Nice. I mean, I think the parallel subject that I'm sure you draw a lot from with your West Coast IPAs is one thing you do really, really well is your fresh hop IPAs.
well, thanks, man.
And like, we go out for hop selection and feel like you just can overdo yourself on fresh hop IPAs in like 4 days. You're like, wow, I've had a lot of them. But you've always had ones that have stood out. Like we worked on one a really long time ago. I forget what
Prefrontal
year that
Polaroid.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Strata fresh hop. And like that was, I think, my first Strata fresh hop beer I'd ever had. Because that was
I feel like
before
that's
we
like
were
the
coming
first
out.
year you could really get strata as like cones, like go down when they're
Yeah.
growing enough acreage of that. But yeah, it
Yeah.
starts her up. But yeah, well, I mean, it's feel extremely fortunate to be so close to farms. It's been really fun getting to know all the people that work there and stuff, and it's pretty cool. It's like 40-minute drive to. I mean, Coleman's got I don't know 6 farms or whatever they have, and then B&D and Goshi and all that stuff. Like it's pretty awesome. So definitely feel very grateful we get to do that a lot. It's been a lot of learning too with fresh hops because I feel like there's not a ton of data on it. So a lot of it's been
Yeah.
year after year, like R&D and stuff, and kind of talking to friends and what worked and stuff. And it's been pretty cool to see like products coming out like the cryo fresh and stuff where you can also play that into your fresh hops beers as well, which we did last year. We would do like fresh cones on the hot side and then dry hop with the cryo fresh to even get like that more intensity. But Yeah. There's always the great
Yeah.
debate of a hot side versus cold side, and we're a hot
I was
side.
going to ask you if you
Yeah.
wanted to touch on that and where your stance is.
We're a hot side producer. So, but you know, we played around. Like that's the thing with fresh hop season. Everyone rushes to get them out first, you know. So like a lot of the cold side ones come out early. So we always have to wait a few weeks afterwards. And we're like, I swear there's a bunch coming, but people are like, I already had 5 of them. So we'll infuse we'll put some in like a brink or something and rack some beer onto it for a few hours or, you know, overnight on some
Yeah.
codes to get a keg out or something or two. But most of our stuff is hot side in the mash tun, lauter tun, turn into a giant hop back basically.
Yeah.
And then we typically do those at about 15 pounds per barrel of cones. So it's a lot of hops to buy. So I
Yeah.
think for like we only do like 2,000 barrels a year, you know, and I think we bought the most amount of fresh hops from Coleman last year. So that's pretty cool. So
That's awesome.
I don't think it's the smartest financial decision, but it was still fun
I
to
mean,
have bags of hops coming into the brewery every other day, you know. So
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
we're super jealous of that. Like we can get access to a little bit of it. The over like Indy does a great job getting Strata out here.
Yep.
The fresh frozen cryo has been great for us. We've loved that.
Yeah, that's good
It's
stuff.
been in three different beers. I would say the thing that we were just talking about the other day with it is it's almost too clean at times,
Yeah.
where you're like, I don't get enough of the like
Kind of vegetal, like
stank. You
yeah.
know, you want like a little bit of the you want more
Yeah.
polyphenol, you want a little bit more green, you want like a little bit more that like makes you feel like you're in that field.
Field, yeah.
But those products are like spectacular for what they are. It's also fun to educate customers. They're like, "What are you doing releasing a fresh hop beer in June?" Like, oh, well,
Yeah.
this is yeah, yeah,
It's been
yeah,
cool too, like having, you know, we can just apply that to many different beers. Like last year we did like a classic red ale with Chinook and it was so beautifully intense, you know.
hmm
Like the kind of pine grapefruit kind of character from the Chinook would play it out so beautiful in like a malty red ale. So stuff like that, it's pretty cool to not just apply it to pale ales and stuff too. So lagers
yeah.
or whatever. So we've done saisons, everything. So
Nice. Do
good
you have
stuff.
like in general, I guess it comes to West Coast IPA, fresh hop IPA, hazy IPA. Do you have hops that are kind of like core intended to like what Ruse is? Do you have what are the ones that are like the most important to your program?
Yeah, obviously, just like everyone else, Mosaic. You know, we for a small brewery, we finally bought so much Mosaic. We're not in pod selection anymore. We get to get our own room with whatever Mosaic lots. So that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Pretty excited about that. We're definitely leaning really hard into like Rawaka and Nectaron a lot. Seems like those are in a lot of our recipes as of late, and especially it's been really fun with all these NZ farms, buying from different farms and really getting to know kind of like the individual people behind those farms too as well, and just how different each farmer's crop is. You know, like the Rawaka grown at Eggers, this tastes so much different than the ones we get from NZ hops. You know,
Yeah.
so that's been really fun to play with, and then we're heavy into like Columbus Cryo and we use a lot of Simcoe too as well. So
Nice.
and of course
Yeah.
Citra, you know. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
crush. We've been like sprinkling that in a lot of places too. So like some of our kind of newer West Coast recipes have some crush and crush cryo in them. Just set like a little sprinkle in there to give a little nuanced character to it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
When
How
you
about you?
mentioned selection,
Mhm.
what what do you guys do? Because one thing we struggle with at times is producing both hazy and West Coast IPA. You hit that selection quantity. You could select multiple varieties, but then you create like operational work to manage that, which we've done before, and because we thought it was a good idea, and then it's just like a little bit of a headache uh, to make sure that you're on pace for both varieties of mosaic or both selections of mosaic. What do you like? Do you pick one lot of mosaic for hazy and West Coast, and you go in knowing this has to work for both, or are you picking with one in mind?
Yeah, definitely. Typically just for like Citra Mosaic one, and like kind of go with something. Honestly, try to get something that's intense, but not so intense that it's going to be like too much in a blend with like a Nelson or something like that. And it's like next thing you know, you got like an OG kind of or something like leaning like a little too dank or something. But actually, our Mosaic this year is pretty subtle and kind of like leans that sweet fruit area, and it's been awesome to work with because it's just such a good blender. But yeah, most of the time for Citra Mosaic, it's one lot. Strata, we do two lots for sure. With that, we usually get like a danker one with that, and then like a more kind of subtler, like strawberry red fruit one. And that's been kind of fun to do. But like just like you were saying, it's hard to keep track of like, did I use the dank lot or like we always have to be like, all right, which one did you order? You know, like and just apply the numbers and when you go back and
Yeah.
get recipes and stuff, we're like, I hope, we're using we wrote all took good notes. But yeah, mostly
Yeah.
just one, that can apply to both styles, and beyond. So how about you? You've been sticking with that or
Yeah, I think we've been in that vein after we learned some lessons where we got like a little bit more, and it's mostly me making that decision. Like, I love both of these lots. I want both of these lots. And then we're left figuring out, well, I went into that not thinking about what those beers would actually be. I just love the flavor profile of this selection so much that we've picked a few different, we've done it with Strata, like you mentioned. We've literally picked, this is our hazy, this is our West Coast, but then we just loved the hazy one for everything more
Yep.
than we loved so then it's difficult to, you get the pellets and they sometimes present differently than you'd expect after lot selection, and then you're dealing with that. So there's a lot
We've
that goes
switched
into
them
it.
out so many times, man. Like
Yeah.
God, these rub so good, but just aren't the thing. Like our Nelsons this year, like we used them once, we're like, nope. So we swapped them out when we could, with it.
Yeah.
I like tried, I think it was a beer from like Living House or somebody. I was like, these are really nice Nelsons. And he's like, what's the lot number? I was like, that day I was on the phone with Michael from YCH and switched it right then. But like,
Yep.
yeah, I don't know. It's pretty cool to like even if something applies more, I feel like in a hazy versus like a West Coast, you can use like so many other tools to like lift that. Say the Mosaic is juicy in the hazy, whatever, but you don't want that juiciness in the West Coast. I feel like you can then use another hop to like blend in there, whatever. Yeah, we'll do that with like
Yeah.
Columbus Cryo in there to like something that Mosaic's missing or something.
Add some texture and like
That's
structure with
texture,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I love that stuff. And then yeah,
Awesome.
with the dry hops too, we'll usually float the cryo on the first. We'll do double dry hop them and float the cryo usually on the first hopping, and then do the rest of it on the second. So
So
it's good
we're
still.
going to take a short break from this message and then come right back with more of this conversation with Shaun Callis of Ruse Brewing.
Today's episode is brought to you by StompStickers.com, trusted by thousands of breweries across the country. They've been printing for over 30 years, and they know beer branding inside and out. Whether you need beer labels, keg collars, coasters, beer boxes, or more, they've got the expertise you need, all backed by a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Try your first run with stompstickers.com and get 15% off with code TRY15. That's TRY15 by visiting stompstickers.com. This German flavor break is brought to you by Weyermann Specialty Malts, crafted in Bamberg, Germany, and trusted by brewers worldwide for depth, color, and flavor. With a portfolio of over 90 malts, Weyermann provides the tools to build anything from crisp pilsners with Pilsner Malt to rich Märzens layered with Munich and Vienna. Even complex dark beers using Caramunich and Special W. Whether you're refining a classic European style or pushing modern recipes, order Weyermann from RahrBSG. As an industry-leading keg management partner, Keg Logistics delivers premium stainless steel kegs with the flexibility you truly need. Whether you're kegging your first batch or scaling your distribution, choose the program that fits. Rent to own, flexible term leasing, or pay per fill. Get top quality kegs without massive upfront costs and terms that grow with you. Thousands of brewers, cider makers, and wineries trust Keg Logistics to keep production flowing. Head to keglogistics.com/allaboutbeer for your custom quote. Keg Logistics, your kegs, your choice. $1 or 26 cents? What would your brewery rather pay the next time it has to process an invoice? If you're paying more than 26 cents, it's time to stop overpaying and switch to PaySmart. Built specifically for craft, PaySmart is a fully integrated payment solution that's offering just 26-cent invoices processing fees for your first 6 months with no monthly fees ever. Less work, faster payments, lower costs. See how much your brewery could save with their cost savings calculator at save.withpaysmart.com. That's save.withpaysmart.com.
Welcome back. And then I don't know if you have anything else you want to touch on with hops, but I do want to make sure we had a little bit of time to talk about like your food program and what you've done and what you built that to be, because I think my last trip out to Portland a few months ago, I ate at 2 of your 3 locations in a few days. So I got to experience, most of the menu. I didn't make it out to the Vancouver spot, unfortunately, but you could just tell when you walk in, like and it's not just like we need people to stay longer to have another beer. Like there's a very intentional focus on pizza. You obviously have a sandwich program too, but I guess in general, like what went into that, because you see a lot of people pivoting to food, but not everybody's doing it well.
Yeah, that's a good question. This is actually cool, fresh stuff that's in my mind right now because I just did I went to the Master Brewers Association meeting. They had a North West meeting in Hood River 2 weeks ago, and I was on a pizza and beer like brewery panel talking about this stuff. It was really cool. It was myself, and Fast Fashion and E9, and it was just talking about how pizza and like the concept of pizza and what we've done for our breweries to excel or like interest customers more than beyond the beer, So yeah, I think coming out of COVID, like Devin, my business partner, and I were talking about like how do we like figure out a way to like not become complacent, and like beer is exciting for people, but at some point, like it kind of, I feel like our tap room only had beer and we relied on food carts all the time, and we were having so many like flaky food vendors not showing up. They'd show up late, like people would be like, where's the food, and we are like, I swear it's coming. So finally we're like, we need to figure out how to do this ourselves, and be self-sufficient. And so we're like, all right, let's go all in. Like people love pizza, and let's figure out how to do it and do it right, So luckily we've just met some really great people. I feel like I'm just extremely blessed that our team is just really good. It's obviously you're only as good as your team. So and then so our chef Dino and general manager Seth and Devin and I kind of went out on a quest to study the best Detroit style pizza, and I'm from that area, so we went back to Detroit twice, like ate at all the pizza places, studied everything we could do, like learned everything we could possibly absorb. And then a friend of mine out here, his like roommate when he was living in Detroit, Kristen, her and her partner ended up opening a pizza place in Detroit, and he introduced me to them, and they're honestly like the best pizza makers in Detroit. So we basically had a mentor, that taught us pretty much everything. So their company's called Michigan and Trumbull. Go check them out. They're amazing. But yeah, they taught us everything. And then I feel like bringing that back to Portland, which is a pretty intense pizza market. Like there's some really good pizza makers out here. There's like sink or swim, so it had to be, we had like, there's no margin error, like you had to like, obviously we screwed up a lot and we keep learning every day, but luckily people give us a second chance. But yeah, you just gotta, just like beer, like keep plugging away and learn as much as you can and keep trying, and attention to detail and quality is everything. With the pizza too, is like using good ingredients too as well. It was like a big priority of ours too. Nothing more than spending somebody spending their hard-earned money on food that's just not good quality stuff. So wanted to make sure that we offered really good quality stuff. And yeah, it's definitely hard. I feel like food program, I feel like it's really easy to make pretty good beer It's really, really hard to make exceptional beer, but I feel like it's really, really hard to make pretty good food too, and like extremely, extremely, extremely hard to make exceptional food. So, especially when you have, so I mean, our brew team's pretty small here, so it's pretty easy to standardize everything. It's hard when you have a lot of people that work there and do all the same things all the time. Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, and controlling
Yeah,
costs on another level too. Like,
costs.
you go
Yeah,
from brewing where by now, you've got brewing costs and cogs figured out
yeah, yeah.
within reason, other than fresh hop IPAs that are going to blow the budget. But then at understanding food costs, I think
And labor and
is
stuff like
like,
that too,
yeah,
So
yeah,
but, yeah, I think at the end of the day, just like anything, you just got to be so obsessive with it to the point where you live and breathe it nonstop, and like overall everything will work itself out, like with quality and stuff. Not like be too crazy about it, but
yeah,
yeah,
within reason.
yeah, within
Yeah,
reason, but yeah, learn as much as you can. I mean, I swear that first year we were hitting up the mentors of ours at Michigan and Trumbull, asking them questions like every other day, it seemed like. So it was like, instead of being like, we got this, we're like, we don't have this. We got to keep learning and same with the
yeah.
sandwiches. Like we went down to San Francisco, like really studied, a lot of the good sandwich places down there, and came back and we were like, man, like, where are we going to buy bread? And we're like, finally we're like, we can make our own bread. We make dough every day. So it took like 6 months for us to figure out how to make really good bread, like it's a lot of R&D, and, a lot of stuff
Yeah.
slow moving to figure it out, and you see with the pizzas, I mean, the pizzas took us 3 or 4 months before we opened to like launch those, till we opened to like work on recipes and stuff like that. And yeah,
Yeah.
I think really, if you're like into a certain style of pizza, for example, I think going somewhere and really studying the style, or just like beer, it's just, and pizza's so geeky, it's awesome. I love it. It's almost more nerdy
No,
than
it's
it's
great.
cool. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
I'm like become
it's
a pizza nerd. So
it's
think
fun to
yeah.
be, like also like you mentioned, just always having a lot to learn. Like it's fun to just be the dumbest guy in the room and be just ask questions and be like, I don't know what I'm doing here,
Yeah.
but help me. And people are always willing to I mean, usually willing to step up and do that. And then it's on us to make sure we're doing it to anybody else that's asking us for anything.
Yeah, and just like having that why, why did it work out this way, and working backwards from that, and reverse engineering back to be like, oh, okay, we missed this step. That's why X, Y, and Z occurred down this stream, So yeah, yeah, it's been really fun doing that. And we've been working on the Chicago tavern pizzas for a while, and we're about to launch those too. So we went to Chicago in April and ate at a bunch of places, and kind of work out. We've been R&D in those for a while, so it's like just the same thing as all the other food items. Just kind of R&D them till they taste really good, and hopefully that you
Yeah.
can execute it all the time. But yeah,
Are you going to launch that at all of because you currently have pizza at all of your locations, right?
Yeah. So I think that one's going to just launch one day a week at our Northwest Portland location, and
Cool.
then we'll see how it goes. And yeah, but yeah, it takes a village, man. So that's
Yeah.
like all the people involved and how much hard work they've done to. So I'm a brewer, so I can only take so much credit for the pizza stuff, So, but it
No, I
definitely,
think it's the direction though. Like
yeah,
it's,
yeah,
when I've always, I don't know your kitchen team, but every time I've come out, like, to like, uh, you and Devin and Cody, right?
Cody and Luke, yeah, are the other.
Yeah, Cody and Luke, like I meet the same guys every time, and it's just like fun. I don't know. It's just like you could tell it's a tight knit team. You're obviously cranking out like a lot of beer for the amount of people you have. Just like kind of we're a small team too, but you get that same like family feel without it being like
Yeah,
cliche and toxic. Like
yeah, I think that
like
was like
some
really important to Devin and I. Like when we first started Ruse, we're like, all right, we just want to create a really fun environment for people where it doesn't feel like I'm going to work, like it's like,
yeah
it's we've all worked at places where it felt like we weren't, appreciated. So I just, I'd never forget that with the team and stuff, So when we like make beer, I'm like, I can take 25% credit for that because there's four of us, So it's just stuff like that. I just don't want to, I'm
yeah
very grateful for the people like the Dino and Seth and all the brewers. And, it's awesome. So
Yeah. So how do you view it as you've scaled it? Like you went from one location to three. You take like not only the beer quality, which is centrally made, but then you're looking at like your approach to hospitality, your vibe of the
yep.
tap room, your like a small company that you are looking to like retain that look and feel and experience at every location. How did you guys go about capturing that with the, you had food, you had beer, but then everything else is kind of a vacuum if you don't
Yeah.
do it right.
Yeah. I think, yeah, just experience like our team, like our definitely our core management teams, like restaurants are kind of like all we know, like, I became a brewer like right out of college, and Devin, my business partner, I think he was like a kitchen guy for like 10 years or something, like high school and stuff, and then, Seth, our GM and stuff, he was my boss at McMinimans. So, yeah, I think just like the years of being in the hospitality industry, like really, I didn't realize it at the time when I like worked for McMinimans. I was like a front of the house manager for them, but like I learned so much about service and labor and other so many important business aspects that when we went to open Ruse, I was like, oh my gosh, I already know all this stuff, but I didn't realize it at the time. I was just learning it. And
Yeah.
I think that's kind of definitely come out in our own companies. I'm sure for you too. Like just the stuff we've learned with how important service is, and sure, you go out to dinner a lot with your family and stuff, and when you have a good experience, you want to go back. And it definitely is beyond the beer and food too a lot of times, because I've been to places that have great food and you just don't get good service, and it's like, am I gonna go back there, like I got yelled at for ordering a beer or something. So I don't know. And like,
No, yeah, I
yeah,
feel that it's tough
yeah,
because that's what I mean. Like I think you've got all the things in my, every time I've been in, like it feels welcoming. You've
well,
got
thanks so
stellar
much.
beer, you've got stellar food, and it's not like you've just focused on one thing because there are so many places now. I think this is the big shift we're seeing in general is we've been commoditized over the past, probably even 10 years.
Yeah,
But beyond that, now people are now viewing us like restaurants. So that same pool of money that they have to go out is going towards, oh, should I go to Ruse or should I go to, any
Cerebral.
pizza place
Yeah,
in town or Cerebral and any pizza place in town? And, we're now competing against that.
yeah, and if you look at even like the VA stats, like the things that were growing the most are brew pubs. I feel like it's kind of full circle to back what it was maybe even like 10 or 15 years ago. And for us too, like the experience is something that's really important. Like you were talking about having the whole package, the experience is, I love like the idea of making a memory. Like I went to Ruse, I had a good time with my friends. We had killer pizza. They had good tunes on, like crank the music. Like that's important to Devin and I, like as far as having a vibe, and hopefully, yeah, we can keep doing that stuff. So
Yeah.
I think like we're constantly have our wheels turn of like, all right, let's not get too comfortable. Let's figure out what we can do next without,
Yeah.
compromising anything else. So I don't know if you guys do that too as well, like constantly
I mean,
the
always,
wheels
but then it's
spinning.
like
Yeah.
toning it down to make sure I'm not stressing other people out with all the ideas.
Yeah.
You're like, well, we could do this and this.
Yeah. I got an idea.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, yeah, it's a certain point it becomes too much when it's, you can't execute on all those things. But I think it is always, I feel like we've kind of got a similar approach there where it is like always focusing on improving the things that you have and never being complacent in it.
Yep.
Because I think that's exactly where, you as a business are probably going to see the side door if that's what happens, which obviously you're not doing. So
Yeah, it's very humbling when you fail, and it's gonna happen. So
yeah.
it's just you gotta like figure out how to, I don't know, learn from it. And I mean, stuff comes up all the time. We're like, man, I thought we got over that hump already, and you're like tread backwards, but it's stuff that's gonna come up. It's gonna keep coming up, and you just gotta figure out ways to get better. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool to have that challenge. Even though it is like you were saying, could be stressful
Yeah,
and but yeah, I don't know. I think brew pubs are pretty cool. So,
I agree. I mean, we
you
we
guys have weird
don't.
laws about them in Colorado or no?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. They're like it's measured as a percent of food revenue if you meet that rule or not. And the difficult thing for us is that we have one location with food, two that we're working on it for, but we would have to have the same food requirement in all three tap rooms, or Dan and I, our other owner, would have to like divulge interest and own them independently, which is insane. And I don't know how we would ever manage that. So yeah, we're working on, essentially what you've done, where we're trying to take like an well-intentioned process for food, and like, what does it mean? What does it mean to have food at Cerebral and take that to all of our locations long term?
For sure, man. And it's also pretty cool to be able to sell your beer like so fresh at all. I mean, we sell like 65% of our beer through our own places, So
Same.
it's
Yeah.
pretty cool to people can go to a Ruse location. There's going to always be some new beers on, and super fresh, and there's trying to keep it exciting for people that keep on returning over and over too. So same with pizza
Yeah.
too, coming up with seasonal items and stuff like that too. So
Yeah.
yeah,
You
man.
talked about change and newer things and always having the wheels turning. Anything you're working on, styles in beer, styles in pizza, things that you feel like you're
Yeah,
going to be working on over the next year?
we've been leaning hard into lagers too for about 2 years now too. So, and I feel like, man, we've come a long way on those too. Those, I feel like, looking back, I'm like, we've learned so much, even like with West Coast IPA. Looking 1 year ago, like on West Coast IPA, I'm like, wow, like looking back at a recipe we did, and like, we're going to rebrew or something. So it's, yeah, constantly like, we're working on extra pale ales right now, just like summer crushing lagers that, I mean, the lagers move so good with pizza. People just love pizza and lager, like light and
Yeah.
fizzy beer. So we got, some domestic leaning tasting lagers, like a Canadian lager and stuff like that, and just go so well with those, food items. And we also have a kind of like a house pilsner that we do for all the pizza places called Pizza City. I guess it would be called an Italian pilsner. So it's somewhat like an
Nice.
Italian pilsner. So we've been brewing that one a lot. So,
Do you
but
feel like that? Do you feel like the food changed your like production schedule? Like, are you brewing
yes, a little.
drastically different
Yeah, I think
than before you had? Yeah.
I mean, we move, like, if you look on paper, we definitely move more lagers and West Coast IPA in our tap rooms than we do in distro. Like when we use day one for distribution, we move a ton of hazy, like out on the market, like in Oregon. So it's kind of weird, like maybe it's because of the food, like people want drier beers, and we still move a lot of hazy in the tap rooms, but it
Yeah.
seems like hazy's a bigger seller for us off prem, so I don't know. Is that how it is for you guys too, or?
Yeah, I think because we do the food truck model at two of our locations, and then we have like a outside vendor, or I guess a partner, outside pizza, in our West Highland location. And while the tap list is split between all three, we just drastically sell more lager, especially our American light lager, due to the
Yeah,
price point. Like, it's a $5 20 ounce, so
it's a
we
great
just
beer
sell more
too.
of that than anything by so much. But beyond that, like, I don't. It's hard because they're all in different neighborhoods, and I think it's like, is that neighborhood or is that beer pairing with food? So we don't really have the exact handle on it, but it's definitely different between each spot what they go through.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Yep. Each neighborhood's kind of tiered to different stuff. Like we move actually a ton of do cocktails that are newest location. That's been kind of cool too, to add a cocktail program to the beer and pizza and stuff. So we sell a ton of cocktails now. So
Yeah.
which I don't really know that much about. So
Yeah,
I'm
we
sure.
can't do that yet, so
Yeah.
we haven't explored that, but
Yeah.
it
So I
could be
couldn't talk
something in the
about
future
it.
for us. But
But yeah, yeah, it's been pretty cool to have like a food as like a palette to work with, like with the beer stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, but it seems like, yeah, we move through a ton of lager. Like we pretty much hold back the lager for in-house only, and don't usually send too much out to distro. Cans we will, but the kegs we keep
nice.
in house. Yeah, so
Yeah,
good stuff.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
Well, I appreciate the time. I appreciate getting to talk to you every time we talk. So I
yeah,
appreciate you
man.
coming on here. Shaun will be back on the next episode of this show as the host, having a conversation with a brewer of his choosing. That will be on air next week, so make sure you tune in for that. A reminder, visit allaboutbeer.com and follow us on social media at allaboutbeer. To support journalism in the beer space, check out allaboutbeer.com/support. I'm Shaun Buchan of Cerebral Brewing. Thank you for listening to the Brewer to Brewer podcast.
Thank you.
When you're running a brewery, every opportunity to save money and time matters. That's why PaySmart is the easy, no-brainer way to cut costs and automate the back office work that slows you down. No matter what you're currently using to process orders, PaySmart is designed to cost less, be easier to use, and help you get paid faster. And finally, it's a payment solution built specifically for craft beverage producers, not a generic small business platform trying to do a little bit of everything. Right now, you can claim a special launch offer of just 26 cents per invoice for your first 6 months. Start saving today at save.withpaysmart.com. That's save.withpaysmart.com. Today's episode is brought to you by stompstickers.com, trusted by thousands of breweries across the country. They've been printing for over 30 years, and they know beer branding inside and out. Whether you need beer labels, keg collars, coasters, beer boxes, or more, they've got the expertise you need, all backed by a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Try your first run with stompstickers.com and get 15% off with code TRY15. That's TRY15 by visiting stompstickers.com. Weyermann Flavor Break is brought to you by Weyermann Specialty Malts, crafted in Bamberg, Germany, and trusted by brewers worldwide for depth, color, and flavor. With a portfolio of over 90 malts, Weyermann provides the tools to build anything from crisp pilsners with Pilsner Malt to rich Märzens layered with Munich and Vienna. Even complex dark beers using Caramunich and Special W. Whether you're refining a classic European style or pushing modern recipes, order Weyermann from RahrBSG. As an industry-leading keg management partner, Keg Logistics delivers premium stainless steel kegs with the flexibility you truly need. Whether you're kegging your first batch or scaling your distribution, choose the program that fits. Rent to own, flexible term leasing, or pay per fill. Get top quality kegs without massive upfront costs and terms that grow with you. Thousands of brewers, cider makers, and wineries trust Keg Logistics to keep production flowing. Head to keglogistics.com/allaboutbeer for your custom quote. Keg Logistics, your kegs, your choice.